Last orders at the bar, please.
Welcome to Tavern Tales, a curated 5e Dungeons & Dragons adventure set in the tales of the Yawning Portal campaign module by Wizards of the Coast.
Previously on Tavern Tales, our heroes continue to proceed down the second corridor to the north, but are all of these traps and figures from the past hinting at something more diabolical?
Come sit down and drink with the enemy, raise a glass and toast to the enemy, and I'm not gonna do this on my own. So come sit down and laugh with the enemy, raise a glass and sing to the enemy, and I'm not gonna do this on my own. So I won't end up being alone, 'cause I won't drink my drink alone. So what about you? One beer or two, I'll drink to you.
So that turned out all right in the end, didn't it? And it seemed to be the same case throughout this dungeon so far. The Gyno Sphinx with the riddle, Sir Bluto and his men, the Oni Ogre Mage, and then these Kelpies? Strange how many of those trapped in the dungeon were all so well known by our heroes. Or was it not strange at all, and something more nefarious was going on? Nonetheless, with the Kelpies assured of a return to Triton lands, our heroes, sopping wet for the most part, proceeded on towards their next encounter. Upon seeing the corridor before them start to turn and twist, Vulcan turned to the other two and said,
I have a feeling we're almost finished here. It might not be the best feeling, but it's a feeling anyways.
And now let us peek into the adventure itself, as the stone corridor changes abruptly to a spinning cylinder, apparently made of some light-colored metal. The inner surface rotates rapidly. It is painted in a dizzying black and white spiral pattern, and it glistens as if coated with some sort of substance. This 30-foot-long cylinder is 10 feet in diameter, and it does spin counterclockwise at a very quick pace. The corridor itself begins to spin in front of you.
I do not like spinny things. I get very motion sick.
Do you need a bath bag?
Depending on if we can get it to stop or not, yes, most likely.
Is there an exit that we can see easily?
Correct. The corridor continues on after this spinning section. Spins for about 30 feet.
Well, I'm going to try to cross, I guess.
Why don't you describe for me what you do?
So it takes a little bit for Thasis to get her feet under her. And she, you know how you like, whenever you walk on something that's like spinny like that, like a merry-go-round or whatever, like it takes you a bit because you kind of go off track and then you like start to like lean one direction to try to get towards the door.
You're just trying to walk along this spinning corridor?
That's covered in a substance.
Definitely covered in some sort of substance as you're moving along.
I'll touch the substance first.
Yeah, it's very slippery.
Oh.
Is it the same substance as the other corridor?
No,
with
that wasn't a substance. That was literally the floor itself.
The floor was like, yeah.
Slimy.
The floor was Teflon.
Exactly.
Non-stick.
All right, I'm just going to do the merry-go-round and just like wait for it to like get to the exit. I'll stay by the edge and spin around.
It does not spin towards something, it just spins itself. It does appear to spin towards it because of the patterning of the white and the black, but as soon as you step on it, I need an acrobatics check.
Oh.
Is it like the ride thing in Greece that goes
I don't know what that is.
Yes.
It's like
I've never seen Grease, so.
Right.
I have tried to watch Grease several times. I think I've tried to watch Grease 4 times, and I get about 20 minutes in and I get so frustrated that I turn it off or walk away.
Is it the Sandy song?
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's the stupid car race thing with the guys.
Fair. That's fair.
And I cannot get past that. Anyway, moving on. Let's see if you can get past this.
A 7.
You wipe out
Sweet.
and you begin to spin
around and you get thrown up to the top of it. And
Is it going like really fast that I like go throwing up?
you get it's spinning at 10 feet per second. So yes, absolutely flipping you around. In one round, you would rotate 3 times or thereabout. Can you please make a dexterity saving throw?
No.
You have failed the dexterity saving throw as well, which means you take a d6 damage because instead of riding it around to get down to the bottom, you overreact and fall from the roof down
All
to
right.
the bottom.
Do you want me to roll that for?
Yes, 1d6 damage. 5 damage.
Oh my gosh.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Wham. I almost said Florida Man because this seems like a Florida Man thing that
yeah.
you've just done. Wham! Thasis Phase falls heavily with a loud crash to the bottom and is immediately swept back towards the top again. What is the rest of the group doing?
Zuvis just shakes his head, and then he will start to go through his pack to find a rope so that he can try and throw a rope towards Thasis and try and remove them from the spinning
Sure.
contraption.
What's Vulcan up to?
So he's kind of looking at it, pondering if this corridor is able to be flown through,
It is 10 feet wide, so it would be a pretty tight flight.
but it is possible.
Why not? Your wingspan is barely 10 feet.
So I might be able to fit through here rather
All right,
than...
you're just talking right now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You just start ponderingly
He's talking to himself.
and talking to himself about stuff. We'll come back to you as you begin this sentence, as you find your rope in your pack and you throw it to Thasis. Thasis, you may now make an acrobatics check with advantage based on this rope.
12.
I'm sorry, that is still not enough. You land crashing. You may make another dexterity saving throw.
13.
That is enough to only take a d6 divided by 2 damage. So 1 point of damage. And you are pulled free at the bottom by Zuvis. Meanwhile, Vulcan is saying,
Well, when in Rome, I guess I can try to fly through it. And he's going to try and fly through the corridor.
all right, make an athletics check.
How much d6 damage do I take from critically failing?
Well, you've rolled a 1,
Yes.
and this is a skill check, so there's no critical fail.
Oh, you
on
said
skill
athletics?
checks. Yes.
Oh, so 8 total.
8 is still, 1, you're still failing. So your wing brushes the side of the spinning, gets caught up as it's pulled down, and you flip over, and I need you to make a dexterity saving throw as well.
18.
That is more than enough for you to successfully save against taking damage as you fall. So what happens?
So he's going to tumble around like clothing in a dryer. And then at the bottom, he's just going to tumble out like a ball. It's all crumpled up and disheveled and whatnot.
Nice, but no worse for the wear. Didn't take any damage. You spun around 3 or 4 times because you didn't overcorrect yourself, and you shot out the other end because you were already going fast enough. He comes to. What's the rest of the party up to?
So I'm now safe, right?
Yes.
Watching what has occurred with both of my party members, I'm going to try, I'd like to look around the walls or the surface around it and see if I can find anything that would maybe control the speed or slow it down or stop it.
Make an investigation check.
19.
You are positive there is nothing in this corridor that could tell you or help you with changing the speed or doing anything to this strange thing in front of you.
Well, dang.
But you've taken the moment and you know there's nothing here. You're positive based on your check.
Well, Thasis, it appears the only way through is to walk through or attempt to fly, get your wing clipped, and then roll around and fall through on the other side gracefully.
It's 30 feet.
Yep.
I'll Misty Step.
Boom.
I'm going to bring the rope with me to,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So then they have it on the other side,
Now
like the end of the rope.
how do you misty step with the rope?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have to take the whole rope and then toss it back to them. But either way, you do so.
Okay.
What do you say when you misty step?
Raven Queen, help me get across this weird rotating hallway.
Sure. It's oddly specific. It's weird that you have to say that every single time, despite the fact that there is oftentimes no rotating hallway. But nonetheless, this time it
Right,
works.
I have to specify. This
Okay.
is directional.
Sure. And do you want to describe what that looks like?
It's like a puff of black smoke that and then she's on the other side.
Is there a puff of black smoke on the other side or no?
Just a little tiny one.
Okay.
Because it's wherever I was has all the black smoke.
Cool. It's not actually smoke, but like a fog, but it what is the differential between those two things when only exist in a small space and small time. Thasis throws the rope back to you. Zuvus, you catch it, and there's now a rope and you alone on the other side of the spinning corridor.
I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to take a running start, and as soon as my feet get right in front of the spinning circle, both of you pull the rope as hard as you possibly can. Physics should prevail.
What's a physics?
Oh boy.
And then you run. And please describe for me, without even having to roll, the success of your action.
Zuvus slowly backs up one step at a time, holding the rope.
Yep.
Pauses, looks at the spinning circle, knowing he does not do well with anything rotating, takes a big, deep breath, and starts to run as quickly as he possibly can. And then he leaps into a Superman position, hoping that the leverage of them with their strength pulling the rope will just pull him through the center of this rotating corridor.
Now you, Paige, still have both hands tucked firmly, tightly to your chest, but that's not the Superman position. So how does the rope and you look in the Superman position?
Oh, wait, as soon as he jumps, he takes his hands around the rope and shoots them out in front on top of his head.
Right. Does he look or does he look down?
He closes his eyes, hoping that he ends up on the other side.
Vulcan's just going to yank on that rope. So he has one foot in front of the other and one hand in front of the other on the rope, and he just gives a yank.
Does he jump back or does he pull? What does he do?
Well, I assume Thasis is pulling the rope as well.
Yep. We're heave.
So it's kind of like a tug of war
Yeah.
thing, and we're winning.
Oh, you slaughtered. So you fly probably 12 feet
Uh-oh.
down the corridor. You land with a little wet sklook, and everything gets oily. You feel like you would have slipped off to the right as it spins counterclockwise, but the pull then happens so much that you are tugged and you create a little wave of the oily substance around you as you slide the remaining 18 feet, slick as a whistle. When you hit the other side of the spinning corridor, because you're all lubed up, you come sliding right in like a bowling ball against the two of these prodigious figures. And then they make athletics checks.
15.
22.
Both of them jump or step aside, and you go sliding up and crash headlong into the wall ahead with the door to the left of you. And you're just a big pile of oily Triton.
Ew. And he stands up and like wipes his body with his hands and flicks off some of the grease. And he's just sitting there trying to get it off of him as best as he can.
Nice.
The panda organization that like protects wildlife is like, oh no, it's another sea creature that's covered in an oil slick.
Grab the Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn. We got to give you a Dawn bath. Get the oil slick off the little duckling.
Well, I never want to do that again.
I'd quite like to see it happen again. You are so graceful.
All of you make a perception check.
10.
11.
Neither of you see nothing. I'm going to guess it's because your backs are faced that way.
Nat 20 for a total of 21.
So bad at percentage checks. None of you are very good at perception checks, are you?
I have a +4. I just didn't roll well.
That's good. How about you?
0.
There we go. Okay, so you, Zuvus, Movedath, have seen, just as you're about to jump and you close your eyes, there is a little mail slot set at about eye level or a little lower in the wall directly across from you from this corridor, central to you, and then the doors on the left-hand side. Something in that mail slot moved just as you leapt.
So it's on the other side of the corridor I just went through?
So you're running down the corridor, and just as you jump, you can see the far wall of the corridor, the end of it, through Vulcan and Thasis. There is a thin mail slot, 6 inches by 2 inches, set maybe just above chest height, chin height sort of area. And something moved in there just as you jumped and closed your eyes, and you slid and crashed heavily into the wall. There is a door.
Did I crash into the wall that has the mail
Yes,
slot?
you crashed underneath the mail slot.
instead of standing up and wiping myself off immediately,
Right.
can I slowly slink up the wall and peek through the mail slot?
Go for it. I mean, you got a nat 20, so you turn and you look through and you can see into a room beyond, but barely, through this mail slot. About 10 feet deep.
Can I tell if the door is what leads to this room or if
No,
this is
I
a
can't really
separate?
tell.
I'll relay that information to the rest of the party that prior to me leaping through the tunnel of death, I spotted a tiny slit in the wall and there appeared to have been movement behind it. I have taken a closer look upon crashing into it, and it seems to be a room. However, I am unsure if it's a separate room from the room with that door, but there is something in it.
Everyone make an additional perception check. You have advantage on this.
Now I'm brushing myself off.
How did we do, everyone?
16.
19.
11.
Wow, that's really bad. You had advantage in everything.
I know.
You don't hear anything. The two of you, though, do hear a quiet voice on the other side of the door, but not anywhere near the door. Maybe it's just coming underneath the crack of the door. You can hear it, though. This male voice says something in the other room to somebody else. And how did you do? You got a...
16.
And you got a...
19.
The 19, you hear a name. The name is Snarla.
Yeah. Does the name Snarla mean anything to the two of you?
It does?
Yes. Now you have to tell me if the name Snarla means something to the Warforged Thasis or to your princess memories before.
Ooh. My princess would have named their stuffy Snarla. And Warforged might have run into a Snarla. So you choose based on that.
No, there's definitely a person you know, in
Okay.
which I just want to know.
Probably
is
the
it
Warforged then.
the Warforged version of you knew a figure named Snarla. She was what to your character?
A fellow adventuring hero.
Something terrible happened late one night while out in the woods on one of your first sojourns as a Warforged to Snarla.
Oh, no.
Did you get along with Snarla previous to that?
Yeah, sure. But, also new to interacting with humans and people.
Did Snarla like you?
Who doesn't like me?
That's true. Perfect. Okay, great.
You said that out loud, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all that's happened so far. Then we flashed back to this late moonlit night. The moon is huge and round in the sky. Something terrible happened in the night, and Snarla was never seen again.
I'm just gonna go with a theory here. It feels like this dungeon is very set up to specifically drag our most traumatic experiences from our past back at us and throw it in our faces. I'm just saying, based on the complex relationship you had with that gnome / mage / guy, and Snarla was the subject of a horror story or a scary tale. She disappeared in the woods one day when I was a newish adventurer.
You may be onto something, seeing as we've now ran into two of my past acquaintances.
And they were traumatic. It's like you have to deal with your undealt with bullshit.
Yes, I would absolutely agree. Why are you asking if the name Snarla meant anything, which it obviously does?
I heard a voice on the other side of the door. They mentioned the name Snarla, but that's all I could discern.
It's not a common name.
No, I don't imagine it is.
Because the name Snarla means something to you, and he points to Zuvis and says, and you've already had your trauma. I guess it's your turn.
Excellent. I love stories.
Out of curiosity,
Oh,
prior to this horror story, were you on good terms with this Snarla or bad terms?
who doesn't love me?
Bad terms, I understand.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
It's so hard because there's zero expression on Thasis's face, right? So if
Yeah.
Thasis says something, there's no way to read a subtle twitch of an eyebrow or a curl of a cheek, no smile or frown. Just like
so
Marie Claire is
weird.
giving me right now.
I'm going an adorable doll.
Yes, exactly. With the same expression at all times.
So creepy.
What do you mean?
So let's go back in time, and you can tell me about a footman that you knew when you were a princess. Your favorite footman, Burkett.
Oh, Burkett.
Yes, that is the title of this story. Your favorite footman, the human Burkett.
Do you want me to tell it in my voice or just normal?
However you would like to have
All
the
right.
story unfold.
It's like a diary, you know?
Sure.
Let me tell you about Burkett. Once when I was still a princess, you don't know this sometimes, but I was a princess. He used to make sure that I would get extra cookies from the kitchen, and that even if I snuck out of bed to go see what was going on, he wouldn't tell my mom. He was kind of like a weird footman uncle.
What did he look like?
He had gray hair and a curly whirly mustache, but he always kept his uniform immaculately pressed. But his shoes sometimes had dirt on them, which was a little weird, I must say. Anyways, that was Burkett, and he was great. Thanks.
I kind of imagine a French waiter, but with a thicker mustache.
Yeah, see, I was picturing George Thompson,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair.
who will not be clear to anyone in the podcast, but will be very understandable to both Paige and Marie Claire. So yeah, tall, thin, curly whirly mustache, and George Thompson sounds delightful.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would agree.
I can picture this.
Yeah.
Cool.
And had a good hop in his step, which is what you want in a footman.
What was the nickname he always called you?
Oh, young miss.
I like that. The three of you stand before a door, having chatted about Snarla, and then, for some reason, had a momentary remembrance of Burkett. But you did not say that out loud. That's just for the podcast's sake. It would have been weird to suddenly talk about a footman from when
I mean,
Thasis was a kid.
would it have been out of character?
No.
No.
Not in the slightest.
Vulcan, you indicate you heard this individual on the other side. Were they just talking to themselves?
Unfortunately, I've only heard just the one voice, and the only word that I heard was Snarla.
It's such a unique name. I bet you the Snarla that I know, which means she survived.
She might be on the other side of the door.
Let me understand. You say it is a rare name, and yet you think the Snarla you know is being talked about by a different Snarla with the rare name.
No, I think that they're talking about Snarla.
I just needed to clarify.
Yep, it's how language works. Normally you talk in bubbles, I get it.
That does not occur as far as I am aware, but that is something we can test at a later date.
Sign language?
Oh boy.
How do Tritons talk underwater?
No aspirations.
Oh, right. No,
Water waves. Different wavelengths.
different wavelengths.
Oh
Is it true when you're not communicating well with another triton, you just say you're different wavelengths?
Can you turn it to channel 5?
Nice.
Can we tell if there's outline of where this mail slot is? Like, can we tell if there's
you know where the mail slot is. It's closed now.
But is there like a fake door?
There is a door you're standing right in front of.
I
There's a
know.
mail slot next to it.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a separate door to a
No.
different... Okay.
Just the one door, one mail slot.
Well, should we attempt to go through the door, or should we attempt to talk to the individual through the mail slot prior to meeting them face to face?
I feel that if anyone was to either go through the door or speak to them first, it would be Thasis, just due to the prior knowledge of Snarla.
That's true. Or we could catch them off guard.
If you deem it to be a wise idea.
How would you like to catch them off guard?
Well, they just don't, come in and, they're not expecting me, and then they do the thing, and then you're like, oh, but we actually know who you are. Da-da. No?
Through the door or the mail slot?
I'll go through the door. Fine.
No one's going through the mail slot.
Well, like, because you can talk through it.
Right.
Right? Can...
Hello.
Yes, that is exactly what you could do.
Before Thasis runs to the door,
Okay.
can I check it for traps?
Sure. Go for it. You do not find any traps.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thasis, you are free to approach the door if you so think that is the best option.
Okay.
It opens away from you because the hinges aren't on this side. It does have a nice
Isn't it polite to knock?
thumb depress
Sure.
knob, push
I'll
down,
do that, yeah.
push open.
I'll push it open.
All right.
I'm going to, just as I open it, go,
Hello.
Okay. This room has a couple of benches and a table upon which there's a large candle burning away in it, providing much of the light for this room, which is not very big. It is 20 feet by 20 feet. There is a door set in the wall opposite you, and immediately to your right upon entering, there is a little 10-foot wide turnabout that leads to the mail slot. So the mail slot, which could also be called an arrow slit, is in this room. Standing in this room, you would be shocked to find, is a butlerish gentleman who seems to have fallen on hard times. His shoes are exceptionally dirty. His pants and garb, he is dressed in armor, so not just kind of like looking like a butler here. He's wearing leather armor, but it looks definitely in poor repair. And he has short silver hair, a big curly whirly mustache, and bright green eyes, because you didn't describe that before. But he's got shaggy, not like well past 5 o'clock shadow, more like 3-day growth of beard on the rest of him. And he definitely looks worse for the wear. But it is none other than your former footman Burkett. And he stands there with a long sword held before him and says, "Halt!"
Okay.
Raise a glass and drink with the enemy. Raise a glass and sing with the enemy. And I'm not gonna do this on my own. And raise a glass and toast to the enemy. Raise a glass and sing to the enemy. And I'm not gonna do this on my own.
This concludes this episode of Tavern Tales, a curated Dungeons & Dragons 5e game set in the Tales of the Yawning Portal adventure module by Wizards of the Coast. Our intro and outro music is the song Tavern Tales by the Bad Billy Band. You can find out more about the Bad Billy Band on iTunes or at www.badbillyband.com, or follow them on Twitter at badbillyband. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to leave us a review on iTunes or find us on Twitter at tavern_tales. We'll be back next week with more of the adventure.
Are you that automaton? Thasis Phase? So hard to do that accent in a guy's voice.
I don't know that anyone else actually talks like me, but okay.
Your whole country talks like you.
Okay.
You are literally the Princess of New Jersey. That's literally my headcanon and why everything you do makes sense. You made Florida Man, and now you've made the Princess of New Jersey.
I'm actually Madison from that episode
Yes.
of She-Hulk.
Delightful. I don't know if you... Fuck.
Yeah, he's southern now.
Just go with Jersey Shore, guys.
I'm trying. Fuck. It's just not there. Unless I talk like this. And then,
No,
oh my God.
now you're a
it's even
southern
worse.
belle.
Oh my God.
Boy, I tell you what.
You should do that voice sometime.
Nope.
That's what I said.
Foghorn
want to.
Leghorn vibes.
Good. I've tried to
Thasis
convince
Phase?
Yes.
My head literally was just like, I don't know if you'd remember me, but then it's like still
What are you trying to do specifically?
Jersey Shore, but a dude.
I'm gonna go bro-ish.
Gym tan laundry, bro.